Good morning, or good afternoon, or whatever it should be for you right now, and welcome to more Not Your Mother's Goose, your place for puns about Peter, Pumpkin Eater, the Pied Piper, Pinocchio, Peter Pan, and Bambi. I'm Topher Goggin. Coming up today, it's time for the big moment we've been hinting at for a while now, the debut of our giant tournament of Disney rides presented by World of Walt. Scrooge will also put some garland on the tree in A Christmas Carol, a very frugal garland, of course, and we'll head to the theater for a new movie before and after mashup with Finding Captain Nemo. Don't forget that there's still time to pick up a 2022 Not Your Mother's Goose calendar, or 30, all in time for the holidays. They really are cool, and you can find them right at notyourmothersgoose.com, so check them out while you're stopping by to cast your first-round Disney ride votes. I'll have all the details about the tournament in a few minutes, but first it's time to get into the spirit of the season before Marley comes and pays us a visit in our sleep. A Christmas Carol. An old rich English miser, named by his parents after Scrooge McDuck, is getting ready for Christmas the next day. By which I mean he's slamming the door in the face of some local fundraisers, informing his nephew he's too busy to come to Christmas dinner, and only agreeing to give his bookkeeper Bob the day off because of a possible National Labor Relations Board complaint. It seems unlikely that Scrooge needs to draft any acceptance speeches for awards from the Rotary Club this year. Scrooge heads home for some shut-eye, but instead of spending the night dreaming of jumping in a giant money bin, he instead finds himself smack in the middle of one of those ghost hunter programs that they show on a cable channel with a number that starts with a 7. It turns out that Scrooge is kind of like Pac-Man, as he's got 4 different ghosts chasing after him. But there's no cherries or power pellets. Up first is Scrooge's dead business partner, Jacob Marley, who seems to have been sort of the beta testing version of Scrooge when it came to ripping folks off. Marley's here with a report from the afterlife, and the news is not good. Thanks to a lifetime of royally Scrooging people over, shall we say, Marley finds himself sentenced to an eternity of hauling around chains and boxes and only being allowed to shop at IKEA. He drops by with a warning that Scrooge could face a similar fate, or worse, possibly having to become a Seattle Mariners fan if he doesn't shape up. Marley then proceeds to dispatch a committee of visitors to blast home this lesson. First, we have the ghost of Christmas past, who takes Scrooge back to remember a time of not being a jerk. Unfortunately, the tour then continues into the era where Scrooge in fact is a jerk, including scenes of being dumped by a fiancé, and then a quick update to see how awesome the fiancé did afterwards. So basically, the ghost of Christmas past is Instagram. Christmas past then hands off the programming to the ghost of Christmas present, who continues Scrooge's expedition with stops at the Christmas party he skipped, which looks like a rolling good time, and Cratchit Family Christmas, which definitely does not. There we meet Tiny Tim, Bob's seriously ill son, and learn that he will not be tiptoeing through the tulips for long unless Bob gets some help. Now, Scrooge is already not having a hell of a lot of fun, and he hasn't even met the ghost of Christmas yet to come. This ghost offers Scrooge 50% off Barry Manilow tickets if Scrooge will just listen to his very brief timeshare presentation, which it turns out features deluxe accommodations and unlimited nights in a deserted section of the cemetery. The ghost also tells Scrooge, and this part is actually in the story, that folks only agree to come to his funeral after confirming there will be a free lunch. So after that marvelous night, Scrooge wakes up Christmas morning as a changed man. In the words of Al Czervik at the end of Caddyshack, Scrooge suddenly finds his checkbook and takes care of both the local charity and the Cratchits. He also makes it to family Christmas and generally turns into a kind and generous person. He eventually becomes a second father figure to a healthier Tiny Tim, even buying him his first ukulele. The whole unscrooging, it's a big success. Now we just need to wait for next year's Rotary Awards. I know it can be hard to stay current with the news as things get busy at the end of the year, but don't worry. We're here to make sure you remain every bit as misinformed as usual with our always helpful newscast. Let's see what we know this week. Paparazzi catch Sleeping Beauty and Rip Van Winkle sleeping together. Just literally sleeping. Raffi releases Jungle Book album called Baby Baloo. And in television news, Georgie Porgy to guest star on Days of Our Lives. NBC daytime viewers will be in for a treat next month as a new guest star comes to the network's signature soap opera. Execs announced yesterday that Georgie Porgy has signed on to guest star in a 7-day arc on upcoming episodes of Days of Our Lives. Listen, bringing in a celebrity, it can be a mixed bag, said executive producer Ken Corday. Some of these folks can't act their way out of a jar of pudding. But this guy, he's a natural for our show. I think he kissed half the cast in 2 days of filming. Corday did acknowledge that the show had to buy 17 quarts of ice cream after most of the ladies Porgy smooched left their scenes in tears. He declined to comment on rumors that production had to be suspended when Porgy himself ran off the set after Bo and Roman Brady came out to play in a scene. I don't know whether the boys coming out to play will actually drive Georgie into retirement, but if they do, hopefully he's been planning for his financial future. If he needs help with that, this week's sponsor might be just the answer.
It's never too early to plan for retirement, but it can be hard to know where to start. Why trust your assets to a traditional broker like Merrill Lynch or Goldman Sachs when you can see us at Gold in Sachs, the world's foremost fairy tale financial planner? Founded by Rumpelstiltskin with just a few piles of straw, Gold in Sachs has spun its way to a diverse asset portfolio that can pop your net worth like a weasel around a mulberry bush. That's the way the money goes at Gold in Sachs. Up, up, up. Our Gold in Sachs advisors will help you find the right mix of assets for you. Interested in biotech? We hear FDA approval of pixie dust is just around the corner. Want textiles? We'll build your wool portfolio to 3 bags full. And if you'd rather trade away your cow and diversify, Gold in Sachs is the #1 broker on the stock market. That's STALK. We'll get you in AAA-rated magic beans and take your nest eggs straight to the clouds. When old Mother Hubbard called us, she couldn't even afford a bone for the dog. Now she's so rich, her only concern is getting robbed by Robin Hood. Come see us at Gold in Sachs and start planning for happily ever after today.
You should, of course, by now recognize the voice of Brian Weifrich with us once again. I should point out that Weif actually really is a financial planner here in Michigan, so feel free to give him a buzz if the whole Goldman Sachs thing doesn't work out for you. Now let's check some more headlines. Kindergartner tells parents about the grand old Duck of York that had 10,000 hens. Darth Vader to skip snorkeling excursion on upcoming cruise. And from the business desk, Bugs Bunny launches What's Up Doc telemedicine platform. Telemedicine has risen in popularity in recent years, but the goal was always to talk to a highly qualified medical professional. If that seems like overkill to you, you may want to check out the new telemedicine platform from Bugs Bunny, What's Up Doc. Launching online soon, What's Up Doc allows people to log in with a direct video chat to Bugs' hole in the woods and report their symptoms while Bugs munches on a carrot. Bugs has no formal or even informal medical training, but promises to punch the details of your rash into Google and diagnose a broken ankle in less than 5 minutes. While What's Up Doc will initially focus on super convenient medical services, Bugs indicated he plans to expand into his other areas of expertise, most notably online haircuts. Alright, here it is. I've been waiting months for this. Basically, it was about halfway through running our tournament of Disney villains that I felt like we needed to have the definitive championship of all the attractions at Walt Disney World in Orlando and figure out what is the best ride at Disney. Well, after a little bit of time to recover after that tense Maleficent versus Scar matchup in the villains final, we're ready to go. Here's the best part. We're partnering up for this one. I'm friends with Herb from the popular Disney blog worldofwalt.com. Check out his shirts. My sister and I actually helped with one of the designs. And we're going to jointly run the Tournament of Rides presented by World of Walt. Herb does all kinds of great things that you should check out if you're a Disney fan. He's got Disney News, runs something called the Pin of the Month Club, where you can get a little Disney fun delivered to your house every month. But the real highlight for me is that nearly every Saturday, he live streams a Facebook Live visit to one of the 4 Orlando theme parks. It's great fun to ride along from home, start your Saturday. All you got to do is like World of Walt on Facebook, turn on notifications, and you can join in. You might even see me lurking in the comments. Anyway, Herb has been a great supporter of our show, so I'm excited to have World of Walt help us out here. Let me tell you about the plan. Over the next few weeks, we're going to vote our way down from 40 possible Disney attractions to pick your favorite ride in the Magic Kingdom, Epcot, Hollywood Studios, or Animal Kingdom. Now, this time we have actually used a legitimate selection committee to pick out the field. 16 rides at the Magic Kingdom, plus 8 each from the other 3 parks. Current attractions only, not past or future. Herb and I had votes in this, but we also staffed the committee with a physician, multiple college professors, a radio personality, and a realtor that spends nearly as much time checking the wait times on the app as he does selling houses, even though he lives in Michigan. And additionally, and this is important, all ties were broken by an independent committee consisting of 2 brothers, ages 11 and under. So if you disagree with any of the selections, take it up with the school, call and ask for the 6th grade classroom. Now, before I tell you about the field, let's go through the format and how this will work. Just like in the Villains Tournament, all you need to do to vote is go to notyourmothersgoose.com. Everything you need will be right there at the top of the website. Each round of voting is only going to last a week, though, so don't wait and actually check back frequently because the bracket is going to update and will keep moving right along. Voting for the Magic Kingdom region is open now. Then next week we'll have the top 8 from both Epcot and Hollywood Studios, and the week after that, the 8 rides from Animal Kingdom, along with the 8 that have advanced in Magic Kingdom. That'll get us to the Speedy 16, or whatever more clever name I can make up by then. At that point, we'll merge the brackets and play down all the way to a winner. Okay, I have now stalled as long as I can. We need to look at the bracket so you can start working on your what was the committee thinking complaints. The full bracket is available at notyourmothersgoose.com, so in the interest of getting us out of here sometime before dark, I'll simply tell you that the number 1 seeded Animal Kingdom is, unsurprisingly, the Avatar Flight of Passage. Meanwhile, over at Epcot, the top slot belongs to Soarin' Around the World, thanks to a whole bunch of second-place votes from our committee ballots. Basically, points for nobody disliking your ride too much. We're going to take a little closer look at Hollywood Studios because that bracket is stacked. Star Wars Rise of the Resistance gets the top seed and will square off against number 8 Muppet Vision 3D. The winner of that one gets the winner of the Motion Sickness Mayhem game, which is the number 4 Rock and Roller Coaster starring Aerosmith, against the number 5 Twilight Zone Tower of Terror, which, for the record, my mom did include on her ballot, but very close to the bottom. On the other side at Hollywood Studios, we've got the 2-7 matchup in the Shoot Your Screen division, pitting the arm fatigue of number 2 Toy Story Mania against the crashing into everything of number 7 Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run. The winners of that will then be in for a big challenge, as the other match on that side pits number 3 Slinky Dog Dash against number 6 Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. That's the full bracket for the studios. I truly don't have any idea how it may shake out. But now let's move on to the main event in the Magic Kingdom. This is the bracket that's open for voting right now, and it's the bigger one, seeded all the way 1 through 16. But despite having 16 different attractions, there's some big names that didn't get in. There's no Carousel of Progress, no Country Bear Jamboree, much to my disappointment as a Big Al fan, no Astro Orbiter, no Tomorrowland Speedway, and no Dumbo. That's how tough it was. So who does that leave? Who's in? The park's newest masterpiece gets a first-round battle against the Journey of the Little Mermaid at number 16. Meanwhile, it's just a brutal draw in the 8-9 game, as the Haunted Mansion got the 8th seed, which means it has to take on Buzz Lightyear's Space Ranger spin at number 9 in the first round, and that's tough enough just to get thrown in front of probably the Mine Train. Meanwhile, the other half of that bracket is filled out by some classics, with the Jungle Cruise coming in at number 4, and the Lights Coming on Space Mountain at number 5. But before we have a Jungle Cruise Space Mountain matchup, they're going to have to win their openers, which means the cruise has to pit its jokes against the Monsters, Inc. laugh floor, that's the number 13, and Space Mountain has to avoid getting the song stuck in its head against It's a Small World, which is number 12. On the other side of the bracket, we're going to head to Frontierland. That's where the number 2 seed belongs to Splash Mountain. Splash meets with the Great Goofini on the Barnstormer in the opening round, and the winner of that one takes on either number 7, Pirates of the Caribbean, or the Teacups of the Mad Tea Party at number 10. Finally, to round things out, number 3 is Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. That will meet the number 14 Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, then a great matchup in the 6 versus 11 game, which pits the Relaxation of the People Mover against the Lines of Peter Pan's Flight in a battle of the moving conveyor belt rides. Okay, So there you have it. I'm sure you were able to follow all of that as I rapidly ran it off. But the whole bracket's on notyourmothersgoose.com, and I tell you, I am really excited to see how this plays out. Just from seeing the ballots of our committee members, there are some really diverse opinions out there. People are not aligned in what they think about these rides. So I truly don't know where this is going to land. Old school, new school, long lines, lightning lanes. Just stay tuned. Go to notyourmothersgoose.com to vote. Check out all the great stuff Herb has at World of Walt. It's the Tournament of Rides presented by World of Walt. Get your votes in now. Fairy tale sleeping. Now, we've already covered a couple of recurring themes in fairy tales and nursery rhymes when we looked at sheriffs and shepherds, and frankly, there's plenty of other topics we could take on, so it's almost hard to choose. But in honor of being right after Thanksgiving dinner, we might as well continue with the letter S and take a look at sleeping. It's rather remarkable how many of these stories rely on somebody falling asleep as a plot point. You don't notice it at first, but it's everywhere. Now, some come to mind immediately: Sleeping Beauty, Snow White, Rip Van Winkle. But that's not all. Once you ponder for a minute, you start to wonder if the Brothers Grimm had about 6 spaces that read snooze when they would spin their wheel of plot points. Princess and the Pea couldn't sleep because of a crappy mattress situation. The Hare loses the race because he falls asleep in the middle of the stupid road. Goldilocks? What kind of incompetent burglar falls asleep in the house they are burgling? And we're still not done. The Big Bad Wolf pretends to be Little Red Riding Hood's grandma lying in a bed. Jack steals from the giant while he's asleep. If you played Scattergories and needed to come up with a fairy tale where someone falls asleep, basically that just means come up with a fairy tale. And we haven't even touched on the nursery rhymes where you've got Frere Jacques, which is Are You Sleeping, Brother John? You've got It's Raining, It's Pouring, The Old Man is Snoring, Rockabye Baby, Lazy Mary, Will You Get Up? Apparently there is just nothing else to write about. But here's the key point I want to focus on. If there was any question about who the intended audience is for these stories, sleeping is the topic that proves they are for kids. And how do we know? Because sleeping in fairy tales is bad. Sleeping Beauty gets put to sleep by evil Maleficent. Snow White, evil queen puts her to sleep. Rip Van Winkle gets treated as a doofus for falling asleep. Lazy Mary, the Hare loses his chance to win the race because he falls asleep. Only the Princess and the Pea uses sleep to prove her merit, but she does it because she can't sleep. Well, come on. This is baloney, and we all know it. Sleep is a skill. Anybody over the age of about 19 understands that the idea of taking a nap is in the same zone on the fun scale as hitting the Mega Millions or an all-you-can-eat visit to Willy Wonka's factory, unless you are Augustus Gloop. I personally have spent years perfecting the skill of napping in my office chair at just a level of consciousness that I will still be able to hear someone walking down the hall so I can appear to be awake and working by the time they get to the door. You know how people now, when they write their resumes, they rate themselves on certain skills like Photoshop, and of course then have to give themselves 3 stars at something useless like typewriters just so they don't seem like a self-centered jerk? Well, if I was writing a resume today, I'm giving myself 6 stars for sleeping. And the idea that these villains are punishing people by conking them out, or that any of these folks want to be rescued from their naps, you are only selling that to an audience of 6-year-olds. As far as I'm concerned, the people who can sleep, they need to be saluted as heroes. That's why I am today awarding the first annual Not Your Mother's Goose Merit Trophy for Sleep to Little Boy Blue. This guy is my hero. The sheep are in the meadow, the cows are in the corn, and where is our guy? He is out like a light, and he has managed to do it while he's under a haystack. That is sleeping skill right there. This is somebody who's not going to have any trouble getting a good night's rest at a 2-star hotel lined up with an airport runway. You, my friend, have my respect. And I will be back with more of the show in a while, right after a snooze. Finding Captain Nemo. In honor of our new tournament, we're on to an aquatic and ride-themed movie before and after this time, and I realize this one's a little bit of a cheat. Technically, Jules Verne's story and the Disney submarine ride is 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. So while we could do a thriller movie about the world's first underwater Kentucky Derby, which of course would be 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea Biscuit, we're going to go the other direction and go see Finding Captain Nemo. Two fish named Marlin and Dory, the latter of whom has some memory issues, find themselves alone in the tank at their house when their reclusive owner, Captain Nemo, heads out on a submarine expedition. Knowing they won't last long if the captain doesn't feed them every day like Mr. Rogers, they set off on a quest to swim the ocean and find Nemo's submarine, the Nautilus. Now, first needing to escape the tank, Marlin and Dory play dead when Captain Nemo's cleaning service comes by, cleverly getting themselves flushed down the toilet. After an arduous journey out to sea, they link up with some stoners surfing turtles to help the trip, but are disappointed to learn that Bruce the Shark won't be able to join because he's off protesting the season premiere of Deadliest Catch. Now, with Bruce gone, the turtles instead introduce them to a giant squid named Steve, who apparently is buddies with the captain and agrees to guide them to the Nautilus to catch up with their owner. They head out on their journey, with a forgetful Dory suddenly thinking she might get to do some fin extension exercises on a piece of Nautilus fitness equipment. After a lengthy trip, including a swim under the South Pole and a ride on the Orlando Current, the group finally find the mighty ship gliding along a stainless steel track off the coast of Fantasyland. Steve the Squid decides to take a look inside and presses his giant eye up to the window to say hello. When Captain Nemo comes out, Steve gives him a big giant squid hug, which Nemo doesn't seem to really like all that much. Must just not be a hugger. Captain Nemo is, however, thrilled to see his friends and promptly dumps them in a not at all ironic fish tank inside a submarine. Reunited at last, the group then submerge and set a course for Epcot, where they'll be really glad to find out that the Maelstrom ride is closed. With that, it's time to formally dispatch you to cast your votes for your favorite Disney attractions in the Tournament of Rides presented by World of Walt. Just mosey right over to notyourmothersgoose.com to cast those votes. And remember, the bracket's going to update once a week, so don't forget to go back and keep voting in the future rounds even before there's another show. Also, remember to go to worldofwalt.com for tournament updates, and be sure to check out Herb's Saturday Morning Disney Parks videos on the World of Walt Facebook page. They're really a lot of fun. I will be back in 3 weeks to introduce you to the Speedy 16. Plus, we'll also relive Ratatouille with Remy the Rat and check in with Frosty the Snowman and Rudolph just in time for Christmas. Don't forget to shop on notyourmothersgoose.com. Until then, thanks so much for listening. The goose is loose. We'll catch you in the Speedy 16 here on Not Your Mother's Goose.